Hello, my kohais. Hope you're all doing well. I'm your host, Tyranno Senpai, and welcome to another Prehistoric Kingdom speed build. And today, we're building an enclosure for our first mega theropod, the Spinosaurus. I know a lot of you people have been excited about this. It was voted as the one that a lot of you guys really wanted to see make an enclosure of. So that's what we're doing today. We're finally doing Spinosaurus. I know a lot of you guys are going to be happy about this. So we're going to start off, as we usually do, by building a path. And for this particular build, I wanted to try to build around that huge lake near the front of the map. Try to utilize that as best as I possibly could. And then, of course, building the fence around that. I really would love, eventually, if Prehistoric Kingdom released the ability to have underwater viewing galleries and things like that, or just viewing galleries next to the water, rather than have to rely on bugs and things like that to fix it. Because at that point, yeah, I'd install like glass so like the guests could see the Spinosaurus swim about, but this is probably the best we're gonna get at the moment. So as you can see, I am kind of getting rid of the water because I don't need it at the moment. And we're just now going to select our Spinosaurus. We need one male and one female as the suggested population, so that's what we're going to do. So I choose the best looking Spinosaurus in my opinion. Then we're going to go through the females, and we ended up with an albino, I think, or Louis deer. I don't know. It's one of the two, but it's very white, and it's like, you know what? Albino Spino. Can't go wrong with that. Of course, I decided, look into their habitats, see what they like. They like grassland, so that's what we're gonna do. We're kind of gonna make like a grassland swamp sort of biome for these guys. And now you can see I'm adding water back. Apparently, these guys need a minimum of 2 meters deep of water, but it's not enough to actually make them swim. So you can see I'm making a very deep portion where they can actually swim through. I do go back and smooth out where the water gets shallow, but I leave the deep end near that side of the enclosure, because that's going to be the big pond area where they can actually swim through. The rest they can just wade through and walk around. I'm basically acknowledging both sides of the study, where Spinosaurus was either a swimmer or a wader like a stork. And I also decided I'm going to build a shelter this time. My own shelter, my own original design. This design, I was going for something that looked at least remotely like, say, a boathouse, where one would put their ski boats, their houseboats, whatever, park or to tie down the dock, for them to come back to when they want to get back on the water. So this is kind of like a boathouse for them. I mean, Spinosaurus is kind of built like a boat these days, so it kind of makes sense to me in my head. I don't know. But I also gave them a ramp, because unlike a boat, I don't think boathouses have ramps like this. You kind of have to yank them out of the water. I don't know. I don't know how boats work. Someone in the comments let me know. But I was looking at designs, and I found a couple that worked nicely. There was very simple ones. There was one that apparently looked like a boathouse from Crystal Lake, I think it was. Something to that degree. And now I'm building up the walls. Now, obviously, this wooden wall would not be the finished result. In fact, this is just going to be sort of like a blueprint to the actual design. Of course, I make sure that it's tall enough for the Spinosaurus to pass through. Apparently it isn't, so I had to go back and change that. And once I got everything all lined up and all that stuff, I go back and put on the next layer, because this is also going to be a big part of the blueprint. And I go back and fill in the gaps where I might have missed, even though I really didn't need to do all the extra step in hindsight. Once again, I'm filling in that blueprint a little bit more by adding these pillars. Again, these are not going to stay in the build. These are just kind of like an idea. This is where I'm going to put thick wooden posts to hold the boathouse together. The rest of this is going to be made from a different material. And of course, I make it a little bit wider in case the Spinosaurus need a little bit more space than this. put in some more floor tiles. And then it's time for the more meticulous work, placing down wooden beams where I place the pillars, because these pillars just aren't gonna do it for me. There's not one that's just a solid wooden beam. So this is what we gotta work with. I individually place down every wooden pole into where the pillars are. And I do this one by one. It is very, very meticulous work, and we're not even at the hard stuff yet. It's going to get a lot more, a lot more, what's the word I want to use? Complicated. This is a very long, a majority of this build is just building this shelter for them. And the finished result isn't even in this speed build. I know I said in my previous video I need to get better at recording every little change I make, but it's like I think I only need to make one little change, and then I see an imperfection or something doesn't look right, and I have to go back and change the whole thing, and I just completely forget to record. I promise the next time I do a speed build, regardless of how minute the change is, I will record it. So that way people can see what the build will actually look like when it's finished. And then we'll preview it, you know, in normal time. So now I'm just going through and stretching those wooden planks to basically fill in the shape of what will connect to the roof, basically, with these wooden structures. Again, a very long process. There were so many moments where I really wanted to rip my hair through this, because I am not a builder designer. I took a course as an electrician when I was in high school, but that's about it. I don't know anything about construction. So now that those walls have been built up, I can tear down some of them and put down the wooden beams that were on top. Now, these don't serve any real practicality, at least as far as I know. It's just a design choice, because there are a couple of boathouse designs I really wanted to incorporate with this. Whether or not it looks good, I'll let you guys be the judge. And so I'm just copying and pasting everything together so it looks uniform to the best of my ability. I really wish I could make this 100% symmetrical, but I can't please everyone. I just gotta make sure it's, you know, at least decent looking, where it's not an eyesore, because there are a couple changes I do make off camera, and again, really wish I recorded it all. And so now I'm going through and putting in these diagonally positioned wooden beams. Again, I don't think it serves as any real practicality. It's just a design choice, or maybe it's to make the structure a bit more sturdy. I mean, considering these are like multi-ton carnivores, I guess these would be good things to have in case they were to like bump into the walls or something. I don't know. But now I'm just copying and pasting them, you know, making them, basically they're going to go around the entire length and width of the building. And if you think this is crazy, oh, you poor sweet summer children, you have no idea what's in store. This is child's play in comparison to what I had to do next. So I take these wooden beams, line them up as best I possibly can, because even then there are still some flaws that I missed. And then it was time to tear down these walls and replace them. And this is where it got real. And it got real really fast. This is quite possibly one of the more painful parts of this build. I'm happy with how it turned out in the end, but it was ridiculous. I got a second set of wooden planks. These ones were round, and these would actually form the walls. And I made them bright blue because you know, Spinosaurus, swamp, water, it made sense for me at the time. And also, this is based on the designs that I found. You know, there was a lot of blues, a lot of grays, and things like that. Not very hot or warm colors, mostly very cool colors. And I take these wooden beams and place them around every inch of this enclosure. Every inch of the enclosure? No, every inch of the shelter, excuse me. Oh, Lord. And I'm, still tinkering around with the floor, making sure, the planks are on the ground. Because I don't think there's ever been a building I have seen that doesn't have, like, something on near the floor along the walls. So that's kind of what these are, in a sense. And this is quite possibly one of the more painful parts. Clicking on each individual plank. I know I don't have to. I could just click and drag. But for some reason, the game wasn't allowing me to do it. So I just went and clicked every individual bit of wood and did that for the entire building, basically. It's almost kind of satisfying to see, one click on all the individual planks in 6 times speed. Well, 6.25 times speed, I guess, is the proper speed. And in hindsight, I wish I had made this building a bit more triangular at the top. But by then, I was too far into it, and my patience can only last for so long before I have to stop. Maybe I'll fix it in the future, but for this build, I really just wanted to get this out of the way. And I guess it kind of shows just a little bit. And screw off if you guys think I was going to try to put, like, these rims around, because no matter what I tried, it just wouldn't work. So I just made the roof just a slight bit bigger. And you know what? I like this effect a bit more. Now it was time to add supports. So I, once again, copy and pasted all the wooden beams. It's becoming repetitive at this point, right? Just copy, paste, copy, paste, copy, paste, and occasionally shrink or grow these wooden beams that would support the roof of this boathouse. I've been to boathouses. I had family members that had a houseboat and a ski boat, but it has been years. It's been about a decade, I think, since the last time I even set foot on a boat. So my memory is a bit foggy. So you'll have to forgive me for lack of information, I guess. And again, this build becomes a bit repetitive, so I think for a majority of this, I might go silent at times, because there's really not much else to comment on. It's just the same thing over and over again. Just copy, paste, copy, paste. So I think that is exactly what I'll do until something pops up that I feel needs discussion, other than like these beams that I'm now putting up top so, it actually connects to the roof. I think I'm just going to go silent until we move on to something different. Now we're getting to the part where the keepers have to come in and, do their thing in the enclosure. So it's time to build a work zone in the boathouse. What, you think the Spinosaurus were going to be the only ones using this? No. the keepers also have to get in here in case, they make a mess, and also to prepare everything for the Spinosaurus. Obviously, there are buildings already for that. There's compost heaps, there's feeding, there's food, sort of like making areas, producing zones, loading, all that stuff. Staff centers and things like that. But I wanted to make like a sort of enclosed place where the keepers could come into the Spinosaurus enclosure and prepare like their food or clean their enclosure and things like that. So yeah, that's all the stuff the keepers need in here. And then I didn't record. Oh no. So yeah, you don't get to see how that finished. And also, the way it was designed, honestly, in the end, probably is best left to the imagination, because I did not like how it turned out in the end. So now we're just building up a waterfall, making sure that looks nice and spiffy, and we're just going to put some rocks around as a border to protect the guests, in case the Spinosaurus does come up here for whatever reason, because they can get up here. Again, I really, really, really wish there was underwater viewing galleries. But yeah, so sorry. I completely forgot to record that. Oh god, I can't believe I'm just realizing this now, of all times. So yeah, basically the boathouse is finished for this build, but it will be drastically different from how it looks when we actually see the final product. As well as this cliff wall that I'm building here, it is going to look dramatically different from how it actually turned out when you guys see the final build. But I'm just putting in these rocks here to cover up whatever bits of sand are there. And for the next build, we're going to be building right next to it, and it's actually going to be for Carcharodontosaurus. I don't know what habitats they like, but I would like to try to replicate Dinosaur Planet for this one. There is a scene, sort of like in a coastal forest of some kind. Hopefully they like that sort of thing. And what I'd like to do is put them in sort of like a redwood sort of environment that also had like open grassy areas. I know grass wouldn't have been around when Carcharodontosaurus was a thing, or maybe it was, I don't remember. My knowledge about grass only goes so far, but I would like to have a grassy field for them and such. I don't know. We'll see how it turns out, because I don't really like undecorated sort of places in my enclosures. So now I'm just adding some vegetation around the water's edge. A lot of this does get deleted because I need to make sure the Spinosaurus can actually move around and drink from there, and placing down some mangrove trees. Mangrove trees. Oh god, I'm fumbling the ball. And of course I do go around, follow the Spinosaurus for a while, like to make a path for them to walk on. But I didn't record it under the assumption that these guys are incredibly slow. They are not very fast animals. In fact, I'm pretty sure they're one of the slowest carnivores in the game. So I just waited for them to walk around, and in my own time, made a paths for them that they walked on. And let me tell you, after putting down more feeding stations and such, they walked around a lot more. So once again, this enclosure, this speed build was just a mess. It was just a big, unorganized mess. But I'm telling you guys, the final enclosure, it looks amazing. I think I did a very good job in making this pen for the Spinosaurus. And of course, I did go around and make some minute changes around the park, such as, placing down restaurants, bathrooms, and, apparel shops and the like. And without further ado, let's check out the Spinosaurus enclosure. And here we are, folks, the new Spinosaurus sort of zone that we're building up here. But before we do explore the Spinosaurus enclosure, I do want to bring your attention to this. I've started building something around here near the Plateosaurus enclosure. It's not really anything worth talking about, because most of you guys want to watch the speed builds for building enclosures and such. So for this, I built sort of like a walkway on this hill. I've always wanted to do this. So we got like this little staircase leading up this hill, and a rocky ledge to cover up, this sort of flattened terrain, and we got forests and trees. We'll build this up as we go along, to make this park feel not as jam-packed with, like, enclosures, like, left to right. Like, there are specific zones you got to get to. And we have, a Tiny's fast food, we have an Apato apparel, and we also have a restroom here. And we'll fill this out as we go, but, of course, you guys are here for the Spinosaurus Enclosure. The mess of a speed build recording that is this. But you know what? It's kind of thematic because Spinosaurus is a mess of a dinosaur, especially in recent years. So, why don't we go ahead and take a look? So, let's give you the VIP tour the way, the keepers would come in. So, keeper would come through here. This is how they get into the Spinosaurus Enclosure. Ooh, I'm just now noticing that little terrain bump there. Let's just quickly fix that. Yeah, that looks better. And I'm just going to save real fast. Also, this build will be available in the Steam Workshop. So if you guys want to visit the park, you can. Or if you want to make some changes to it, whatever suits you fancy. But of course, we have a feeding station over here. Where, if the Spinosaurus so chose, it could come here and eat some of our meat that we have around. But of course, that's up to them. They do come here. I've seen them come up here before. They do eat from here. And, we have all this grassland, shrubbery, and trees. We have these reeds and mangroves. But this is a very watery enclosure. In fact, even for Spinosaurus standards, this is just past the bare minimum of water. Like, you could have an entire enclosure of almost water. But, we gotta have some land in here. And the keepers, in order to get to this boathouse, they have to cross the bridge here, while also hopefully avoiding the jaws of a Spinosaurus. But I'm pretty sure they're experts in dealing with dangerous animals. Anyway, the keepers will walk through here, and this is the workstation in the Spinosaurus Enclosure. So ignore those. Those are just staff that need to enter into those buildings. I'm sure they'll be there soon. But we have these shelves here with boxes, which would normally contain, like, storage, and things like that for the Spinosaurus Enclosure. And yeah, I'm just now noticing that these boxes are facing through the shelves, but luckily we're going to fix that, and of course save. Again, this build will be available in Steam Workshop, so don't worry. And of course we got, this sort of table here, I guess, to prepare the food. This bowl, in my headcanon, this would hold, like, fish and stuff for the keepers to clean before giving to the Spinosaurs. We have a little crate there. We have a sink for cleaning and such. We have a wheelbarrow and a shovel here for, when they need to clean up the enclosure and such. We have fresh hay for, the keepers to put into the enclosure, to change their bedding. We have buckets, which would be typically full of food and such, but of course they're empty, so we can't really do that. We have a dry erase board, for the park workers to come in here, and there's a lot of funny stuff. Feeding times, do not blah, it's very faded out. Who stole my coffee? Staff meeting. It's very funny stuff, very charming. And of course, we go out, and here is the Spinosaurus interior. We have their bedding over here. We have the bedding over here, and you can tell I did some changes, because look at the floor. This does not look like the floor I put in initially. In fact, I even color changed the tiles to make them look a bit more like the Spinosaurus. So, yeah. Yeah, we can look up here. We can see the support structures holding this thing up. And then you have this bamboo ramp, which the Spinosaurus use to get on inside. This is the only way for them to get in the shelter. They had to swim through this body of water to climb up in there. Again, really wanted to capture that sort of boathouse feel. Make it incorporate water into the build somehow. And of course, we have the deep end here, which none of the Spinosaurs are actually swimming through. We go over here. We have this little spot where they can eat fish. It's kind of remote. People can still see them, but the foliage is so dense here they might not even notice. But we just have fish right over here for them to feed on. And then, of course, we have shallow areas like this where they can wade through, where they don't have to swim. There's a blood pumpkin, which is facing through the floor at the moment. Let me just correct that. There we go. See, minute changes. Just minute changes. That's all it needs every now and again. Just to make it look not wonky. And to guess if they get the chance, there is a pair of binoculars around here. There it is. Where they can look up close and personal with the Spinosaurus with these. From the safety of like an enclosed fence. Oh. And I think Nana is currently swimming. She is, but she's probably about to get on that rock ledge to get a drink. So, yeah, Nana is a very beautiful Spinosaurus. I love this skin. The white, the blues, the grays. Oh, it's fantastic. Not sure. Oh, God. Her head is facing through the wall. That's not good. And now her tail's facing through. Oh, God. Devs, please, give us a look. Give us the ability to make enclosures where they can look into the water. Please. What is she doing? Yeah, she's just walking up here. And there's not much else to say. There is this little island over here that does have another blood pumpkin, but also this little umbrella. So in case, they want to get out of the sun and, of course, just bask, they can do it here. And we have another little island over here with another blood pumpkin and some trees for shade and all that stuff. And that is the Spinosaurus Enclosure. So the next build, as I said before, we're going to be doing... Well, actually, before we do end this, I do think you guys want to see the Spinosaurus swim. Because, you guys came... I'm assuming a lot of you guys came here to see the Spinosaurus swim. We'll let this guy drink for a second, and then I'll just plonk him into the water so we can see him in action. God, that sound effect was so cool. I love the vocals they gave the Spinosaurus. In fact, I'd go as far as to say that this is probably the best Spinosaurus ever put in any form of media. I don't think any Spinosaurus comes as close as this. It is beautifully designed. Anyway, it's time to let the bugger swim. Yes! Look at him, he's so swimmy boy! Yeah, they can swim through this. It's just... This area is like 3 meters deep, and it just kind of slopes upward. But yeah, the Spinosaurus can, in fact, swim through this, and it's awesome. It's like watching Godzilla swim through the water. And what I would like, for the viewing area so you can see it underwater, is that the guests could look through the glass and just see this as a view. Like, look at that. Like, look at this. That is so cool. Devs, please make it happen. I mean, I'm assuming they're gonna eventually because, aquatics like mosasaurs and things like that have been discussed. So, it's a possibility. But I would really like to have it now since, Spinosaurus is a thing in this game now. So, yeah, that is Spinosaurus Creek. The next enclosure we're going to build is Carcharodontosaurus, and I think what we're going to do is we're going to build over here. Now, I found out, after that little speed build recording, that Carcharodontosaurus doesn't like coastal. In fact, it likes grasslands, wetlands, and tropicals. So, I've come to an idea. We don't have any tropical environments in our build yet. We have temperate, we have boreal, we have desert, we have wetlands, we have all this stuff, but we don't actually have any tropical biomes. So, what we're going to do is instead, we are going to actually build a tropical biome for the Carcharodontosaurus. And I also found out Oranosaurus actually likes coastal. So what we'll do is we're going to have Carcharodontosaurus over here be tropical, and then Oranosaurus maybe over here somewhere, and that will be our redwoods sort of habitat. Oh, look, Nana's coming in. Or maybe not. I guess she just wanted to quickly go up the ramp. I don't know. Dinosaur minds are very, very confusing. Wait, where is she going? Hello? Do you want in or not? I know you guys can go in here. I've seen you guys do it countless times before. I guess she's kind of indecisive. Nope. I guess she's decided that she just wants to walk. Anyway. That all said, it's time to wrap up the speed build. If you're looking forward to the Carcharodontosaurus enclosure, which we're going to build over here, leave a like, subscribe today, hit that notification bell so you don't miss anything new. All my links are in the link tree in the description down below. And until next time, this is Tyrannosaurus signing off. Alrighty then, take care now. Bye-bye then.